You're about to see things inside this castle that most people totally ignore. Don't think this is just for horror fans. I found engineering secrets that will blow your mind. I'm the right person to show you this madness. But the most famous scene in cinema history was filmed near a door that hides a real curse. So don't skip a second as we dive into this exciting adventure through these scary walls. The gravity-defying castle, the secret in the clouds of Slovakia. Imagine you are driving along an isolated road in Central Europe and suddenly you look up. There at the top of a 112-meter high stone wall, there is a building that seems to have grown out of the mountain itself. This is Orava Castle. He wasn't just made to be pretty, it was built to be impossible to hack. And it has 3 different levels that climb skyward with 154 rooms filled with secret passages, underground tunnels, and a view that lets you see 3 different countries at once. It's the kind of place that looks like it came out of a video game, but it's real and has been there for over 800 years, holding stories of kings, knights, and wealth that no one could hide. But what no one tells you at first is that this castle almost turned to ashes because of a silly mistake in a locked door. In 1800, a priest decided he was cold and lit a fireplace, but he forgot the heating system door was open. The fire spread across the wooden roofs and the castle burned for 2 weeks straight. The soldiers were there, they saw the flames, they had water, but the keys to the main gate were gone. They stood outside watching history burn because they couldn't open the door. Hey, if you're enjoying discovering these insane places, subscribe to the channel here so you don't miss the next incredible videos I'm preparing. This turned what was an unbeatable fortress into a dismal, abandoned stone carcass. The place became so scary and so dead looking that the silence inside began to attract things much more sinister than just the memory of a fire. Therefore, this climate of destruction and the fire-stained walls created the perfect setting for something that would change cinema forever. Many people think that what happened next was just the luck of a film director, but the truth is that the interior of this castle has a direct connection with the most famous monster in history. If you think the fire was the worst to happen in these rooms, you have no idea what the cameras recorded when the lights went out and the first vampire in history decided to make it his home. But I'll show you exactly what they found inside now. The vampire's room, where cinema found its greatest nightmare. Now that you know the castle survived a terrible fire, you need to understand why it looks like it was designed by a horror movie artist. In the 1920s, a film director was looking for the scariest place in the world to film Nosferatu, the first major vampire film in history. And when he arrived in Orava, he didn't need to build any scenery. He entered those cold stone rooms, looked at the spiral staircases that seemed to never end, and realized that the castle was already the perfect lair. The interior is so bizarre that the corridors are connected by underground tunnels, and the windows are so narrow that barely any light comes in, creating shadows that seem to come to life as you walk. But what makes it all really disturbing is that during filming, the crew began to feel like they weren't alone. They say that the actor who played Count Orlok, the vampire, was so strange that he never broke character, and people were afraid to pass him in the dark corridors of the castle at night. There is an iconic scene where he emerges from a stone portal. That portal is not a Hollywood trick, it is still there today. The problem is that as you go up to the middle castle, where the residential rooms were, the feeling of comfort disappears. You begin to see paintings of previous owners whose eyes seem to follow you, and the silence is interrupted by the sound of the wind blowing through gaps that no one can find. Therefore, the interior of Orava went from being just a military building to becoming a symbol of pure evil in pop culture. People visit the place today and swear they feel the presence of something in the rooms where the film was shot. But if you think the horror movie atmosphere is the craziest thing about this place, wait until we get to the high point. There is a part of the castle that is so dangerous and so hidden that soldiers of the past had to do something unthinkable to survive inside without ever having to go out to get water. And what they found at the bottom of the well will leave your jaw drop. The stone abyss, the secret that not even the vampire could hide. After passing through the gloomy cinema halls, you arrive at the oldest and tallest part of all, the citadel. It was built directly into the limestone backbone of the mountain, and for soldiers to survive months-long sieges, they needed something money couldn't buy: drinking water on top of a dry cliff. So they dug a hand well that descends an incredible 300 feet through the solid rock to reach the level of the river below. It took years of slave labor and lives lost just to make sure no one died of thirst while the arrows flew outside. It's such an absurd feat of engineering that to this day, when you look into that dark hole, you get a chill down your spine. But the real danger didn't just come from outside, but from what was happening inside the rock. While the nobles lived in the luxury of painted rooms, just below their feet were dungeons and defense tunnels called casemates. These tunnels were so narrow and dangerous that some prisoners were taken down secret stairs and never saw the light of day again. The castle was a death trap. If an enemy managed to get through the first gate, they entered a kill zone where they were attacked on all sides by boiling oil and stones coming from hidden holes in the ceiling. It was impossible to overcome the mountain, but the isolation at the top was so extreme that the soldiers' minds began to play tricks. If you've made it this far and want to continue seeing interesting facts about the coolest places on the planet with me, don't forget to subscribe. The fear of being forgotten on that top of the world was greater than the fear of war. The solitude and height of 780 meters above sea level transformed Orava Castle into a golden prison for those who defended it. So the inside of Nosferatu's castle is insane, not just for the movie vampires, but for the brutal reality of those who lived and died within those stone walls. He is a perfect mix of impossible beauty and real nightmare. When you look at the tallest tower today, you realize that it is not just a monument, but a warning that human beings can build incredible things when they are desperate for power or survival. Now, the next time you see a vampire movie, you'll know that the reality of that castle is much scarier than any Hollywood special effect.